Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome aboard. Every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm dropping brand new videos on how to improve your public speaking skills, social skills, emotional intelligence, and much more. Join the tribe by hitting that subscribe button right on below. Hit that bell notification and never miss another video again. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and be sure to drop that like on your way in. In today's episode, we're entering the world of social skills along with emotional intelligence to talk about how to deal with difficult people. I don't know about for you, but for me, at this stage in my life, I understand the type of people that I get along with and the type of people that I don't get along with. The people that I get along with normally have very laid-back personalities. They're great listeners, and they love to laugh at my jokes. I love to feel like a comedian anytime I'm dealing with people. But the people that I don't get along with, they normally fall in the two following categories. They're either very sassy or sarcastic. Anytime I'm dealing with these two personality types, I try to steer clear of them. But you want to know what's very weird about all of this? These two personality types, the sassy and the sarcastic ones, they tell people that I know that they love me. The sassy and sarcastic ones are like, yo, that Armani guy, he's so cool. I can't wait to see him again. And that's when I started to think, wait, if people that I dislike me, I wonder if the people that I like dislike me. Either or. It doesn't really matter if you're in the corporate space or in the business space. Nowadays, with the rise of information technology, you're going to have to deal with all different types of personalities. In 1960, there was this media theorist named Marshall McLuhan who predicted all of this. In the 60s, he was talking about how in the future, the world was going to become much smaller due to how easy it was to communicate with different countries. And it doesn't matter if you're in the corporate space. I'm sure plenty of times, a lot of the clients that you guys deal with are from overseas, and they have a personality that you may or may not like. Same thing with business people. Nowadays, a lot of the consultants that you're hiring, they probably have very aggressive personalities. They'll say one thing and do something else. But this group of people have specialized knowledge, and you've been working for so long to build rapport with them. You don't want one disagreement to ruin the entire relationship. Do you? No, you don't. Which is why we need to be able to be socially dynamic. It's smart to be able to deal with all different types of personalities. And the way that we can do that is through formulas. What exactly is a formula? Did you ever wonder that? When you look closer in textbooks or whatever you're studying, formulas are not something that exists out there. It's something that exists in here. When I say 2 + 2 = 4, there's no such thing as an actual plus sign that's out there. It's simply a mental concept. The question is, how exactly are formulas created? Formulas are created with one intention in mind. Is it helping a human make better decisions or not? If not, then we can discard the formula and we can revamp it, add more content to it, and fix it up. Polish it up, make it look nice. That's what we want whenever we're trying to figure out a formula. All right, Armani, quit pussyfooting. What's your formula to deal with difficult people? Here it is. View people as books. Go on. What are you setting this as an analogy for? Nothing. View people as books. That's the formula. You see all those books behind me? There's a process that was done in order to bring these books to reality. And to dumb it down, all books really have three components. It has the physical, the parts that you can see. It has the mental, the parts that you cannot see, but you can interpret. And it has the third part, which is the author, the creator. When dealing with books, the physical parts deal with the covers, the imagery, the actual letters, the scribbles, as you can say, the words, all the physical parts that you can see. The mental content depends on the interpretations of the words. Sure, you see apple being written, but it is the mental interpretation that's being generated in the mind. Both parts make up the book. And then the third part is the author, is that subtle presence that you don't necessarily see, but due to that, the book was made alive. We can view the same interpretation with human beings as well, because human beings are walking, talking books. And the more that we can prime our mind to think like this, the more that we are willing to understand someone's story before we're judging them. And by understanding someone's story, they become sort of like an amusement to us. And what are the parallels between the human being and the book? Well, there's the physical part, such as the cover, where for a human, it's probably their fashion sense or lack thereof. It's how nice quality the book is. Is the cover everything flimsy? That means the human being, they're fragile. They don't go to the gym properly. So you're starting to see certain of the physical parallels. What about the mental parallels, the content? Well, that's pretty much their memory. It's their thoughts, it's their desires, but more importantly, their narrative. What type of book is this person? Is this a horror book? Is this person always negative? Is this person a victim? Is this a fantasy book? A person who has been through a lot, but time and time again, pain strengthens them? Is this a strict nonfiction book? We all know a person like that. A person who actually sounds like a textbook because they're so freaking logical. Do you see what I'm doing right here? By simply using the formula that human beings are like books, we start to become more curious automatically. And this worked for me plenty of times, where I remember 2 years ago, I was trying to get this ebook created, and a guy was so good in one part, but he was so annoying in another part. He was good because he would surpass the deadlines that he would give. So he'd say, I'll have it done for you by Friday, but he'd have it delivered by Tuesday. That's how amazing he was with making sure he delivered on time. The bad part was that he talked to you like you were small. He would talk down at you a lot. He'd be like, trust me, Armani, unlike you, I actually format books, so I know what I'm doing. I don't need you to ask me any questions. And I guess he didn't really need me to ask him any questions because his output was always phenomenal. And in the beginning stages, I was over here getting annoyed at him, and I was judging him a lot. You'll notice when you judge people a lot, you pretty much focus on their covers a lot. You don't necessarily focus on the mental contents too much, but the covers a lot. So I was looking at his face on the image because I was dealing with him through Upwork, and I really despised his face. I didn't like him that much. But we went on to do 3 different projects together. And within these 3 different projects, I stopped looking at the covers so much. And I now started to understand him as the story. The story was starting to unfold. And I started to see that his personality was sort of like an OCD sort of guy. And he was someone now that I started to admire in some ways. I would much rather prefer a guy like this, who kind of tells you who's the boss, who knows his craft that well, where he doesn't want anyone else interfering with it, versus a person who's lazy, who needs to be babied the entire time. And the more that I started to get to know him, the more that I started to get the holistic experience of the book, and the more that I was willing to be open to his story. What is personality? Personality is identical to a story. In the West, what we do a lot is that we freeze it. We focus too much on the Myers-Briggs exam, and that's very similar to getting a book and just repeating one chapter of it over and over again. Sure, we have some perception of the personality when we have a Myers-Briggs exam on it, but we don't have perception of the full picture. Likewise, when you just get chapter 4 out of a book and you keep parroting that over and over again, yeah, you got some perception of the book, but you don't have the entire understanding. The second that we stop looking at other people as introverts, extroverts so much, we start to stop focusing on only a few of the letters from the Myers-Briggs exam, and we start to focus on the entire story. So try this out for yourself. Start viewing people as books. And the more that you can view them as books, eventually there's going to be that question like, who's the author? And that's a question that shouldn't be logically answered. Simply by asking that question and then going back to viewing the formula of humans being books, there's that strange unity that you have with other people, and you are much more open to the different types of personalities out there. The people that like you and the people that dislike you, or the people that you dislike, eventually have one thing in common, and that's a story. If you want more practical insights like this into social skills that you're never going to hear from other YouTube channels or on Google, very innovative stuff, be sure to check out the ArmaniTalks free daily newsletter. In this newsletter, you're going to get a lot of practical tips, tricks, and strategies on how to dominate social skills, control your emotions much better, and to concentrate like a winner. Level up your soft skills by joining the ArmaniTalks newsletter in the description box, in the pinned comment, or go on ArmaniTalks.com and sign up today. Thank you very much for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you next time.